This week, Mercedes-Benz high-powered charging announced a pivot to HYC 1000s in Europe and North America starting in 2026. Pilot Flying J opened their first station in West Virginia, and Electrify America won an award from an organization called Electric Innovation for their use of battery electric stationary storage at some of their stations. Let's get into it. I'm here at my local EA station, at least a little bit distant. It's over here over my left shoulder. The reason it's raining, but I'm underneath the canopy here and I was still able to get it into frame. So I decided to go ahead and shoot the video regardless. I was hoping to get a little bit closer, but I'm sure you'll be able to see the activity going on over there. It's in a Walmart parking lot and also very close to what's known as the light rail system that takes you all the way into uptown Charlotte, which is what I use for my daily grind commute to and from work. It's a very popular station. This was one of the kind of original larger form factor stations that Electrify America put in. It's got 10 stalls and it's very close to the University of North Carolina Charlotte campus, which is just right over there, which also has a really nice Arabic coffee store that my wife and I favor, just right across the light rail station from the UNCC station. To start off, the first week of August, the California Energy Commission announced $55 million in funding for public EV charging. This week, staff members from the Energy Commission were interviewed by Clean Technica about the program, and it was explained the funding will give priority to tribal areas, disadvantaged communities, and low-income communities. I recommend reading the Clean Technica article authored by Jake Richardson. It was released on Tuesday. The race to add EV charging, I'm finding, often focuses on the travel corridors and economically active locations, kind of like this. I mean, this is a very vibrant location, and this station behind me has over the years become a fan favorite, and I'm sure it's going to be heavily used while I record this video, you'll see. And even though it's raining, this is just kind of like a neighborhood asset for the locals. And but anyway, oftentimes the more disadvantaged communities are skipped in these types of builds. And it's really noble of the California Energy Commission, in my view, instead to put priority on these other areas that may well otherwise be passed over. The state of California leads the nation with 1.5 million EVs on the roads at the end of 2024. By now, it's likely closing in on 2 million. And again, I recommend reading Jake's article in Clean Technica. It was well reported. Next, a truck charging company, EV Realty, was funded by a private equity firm to build the biggest station in the United States servicing Class 8 trucks in San Bernardino, California, offering 76 stalls with about 10 megawatts of feed from the electric grid. It's situated near an enormous intermodal facility, and when complete is said to be able to charge 200 Class 8 trucks daily. The private equity investment firm is NGP, and the funding is for $75 million. They have additional sources of funding, but this was the private equity announcement. And here's a quote from Patrick Sullivan, the CEO of EV Realty, during an interview with FreightWaves. Despite the challenges, the long-term trend towards fleet electrification is unmistakable. I would have to agree. As mentioned, when complete, it should be the largest Class A truck charging station in the United States. Next, EA winning the award from the Electric Innovation, a policy-focused organization, for their use of BESS, or battery electric stationary storage, in their station mix, brings relief to this trend of battery electric in DC fast charging. There's indication that I've heard that the order of electricity for really any purpose is more and more being held up from the lack of transformers. For those who don't know, when an EV station is put in, well, an electrical hookup needs to be ordered. And that comes in the form of what's known as a transformer. Typically, power running through the electrical lines is transmitted at 14,400 volts, and the transformer does what's known as a step down to deliver the energy to the given location, which is typically delivered in a rating called kVA, which stands for kilovolt hyphen amps, kVA. And typically what I see at EV charging stations, the rating of the step-down transformers come in the range of about 500 kVA up to about 2,500 kVA. And they kind of step like 500, 750, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, kind of like that. There's also some distinction between MLO, or what's known as main lug only, versus three-phase. And the larger transformers, I'm understanding, is where the holdup really is, being able to get your hands on larger transformers. Basically in the range of 1,500 kVA to 2,500 kVA. Those transformers are very slow to be delivered, so it's holding up the delivery of the electricity for these EV charging stations and other areas as well who need transformer delivery for new power orders. One of the solutions is integrated battery storage that can be used to pool energy from lower kVA transformers and make a larger site. Seattle-based Electric Era has found a path to success integrating BESS to solve this problem. It's also known as BESS, most commonly in the industry, that acronym BESS. Their CEO, Quincy Edmond, a former SpaceXer, pioneered a concept, and their BESS system has improved through the years. It was originally called a power node, but it's now just called the Electric Era Charging Station. This offers a variety of features for station owners, including the decreased need for larger transformers, which opens up quicker power delivery times. And if anyone's been tracking Electric Era, it's really remarkable how fast they're able to get a station turned up because of that concept. Tesla too has found some cases where BESS is called for, and we're seeing the upcoming Tesla semi-megawatt stations, including their Megapat battery storage system, in site design documents. However, this week it was Electrify America who took home the prize from the awards at the Electric Innovation Ceremony. The biggest site they have deployed BESS is their large format 12-stall station in Baker, California. They released a video on YouTube celebrating the award with their CEO, Robert Baroza, if you want to go check that out. It was a fun kind of celebratory video, and much congratulations to Electrify America for winning the award. Next, videos are starting to hit social media of an AMG Mercedes-Benz at the European auto show called IAA in Munich, being able to charge at over 1 megawatt. That's 1,000 kilowatts. It's doing so on a prototype Alpitronic HYC 1000s, and these next generation chargers are also going to be deployed at Mercedes-Benz, both in the US and Europe. And when I say Mercedes-Benz, I mean Mercedes-Benz charging stations, not Mercedes-Benz dealerships. It's two different organizations within Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz high-powered charging. We're told that the HYC 1000s will offer charging up to 600 kilowatts, and will first be seen at their native stations coming in 2026, just next year. So I'm guessing pretty soon we're going to start to see spotters showing construction of some of these sites fairly soon, because we are approaching October very quickly. The witching hour is upon us. Next, CPO Red E out of Michigan had another really good week, which is becoming pretty regular for them, opening 9 new stations. That's significant. Only one of those was in their home state of Michigan, which also I think is remarkable. They're quickly becoming a CPO with a national footprint. And how they're finding this path to success is beyond me. I don't really understand it, but the numbers speak for themselves. So congratulations to Red E for finding a way of getting these stations sold in the ground and commissioned very quickly. Pilot Flying J opened 5 stations this week: Jacksonville and Marinara, Florida, as well as Iowa, Louisiana. All 3 of these are on that I-10 route, if you count Jacksonville, which is just slightly off I-10, but it's very close because I-10 terminus is there in Jacksonville. Additionally, an I-40 station outside of Greensboro, North Carolina, the long-awaited Tulsa, Oklahoma station opened. Also, 2 weeks ago, the much-awaited Sutton, West Virginia station opened off Interstate 79. For those who don't know, West Virginia had no EVgo, no Electrify America stations, making it one of the last holdout states for non-Tesla Supercharger national networks. But this station changes that. Sutton is basically midpoint on Interstate 79 between Morgantown and Charleston, making the Interstate 79 trip through West Virginia now much easier. I've traveled this route before, and it used to be like rock climbing, having to go from like level 2 to a single DC fast charger at car dealers that may or may not be working, or price gouging in order to get through in a non-Tesla. It's very tricky. This one station provides a reliable recharging stop at a 24/7 facility right off the interstate when going to either New River Gorge National Park or into Charleston, the state capital, or when coming into the state from north or through Virginia from the east. Plus, there's an attached Moe's Burrito restaurant, and who doesn't like Moe's? Moe's is great. Next, Petro-Canada is continuing to upgrade their hardware to ChargePoint Express Plus, and this week completed about 10 locations. When I say complete, and let me qualify that in just a second, with postings in the alternative fuel data center database into their portfolio. And it's good to see them validating that EV charging business is doing well by periodically upgrading the hardware with a refresh like these locations. And all these in a single week is really testament to their team's effectiveness as well as the company's commitment to providing EV charging. However, it was seen that these stations don't actually have the ChargePoint hardware yet. They have been rolling out new ChargePoint hardware to their stations, but it looks like what happened with all these stations, these 10 stations going into the alternative fuels data center, is that they're using ChargePoint as their OCPP backend provider for these stations, but still have the older Zerova hardware in place until they get around to actually replacing it. So it's just basically an indication that all these stations are soon to be upgraded. And I think we're getting pretty close to the entire Petro-Canada portfolio being flipped over to ChargePoint. So that's pretty cool. Rivian opened a new station in Paramus, I believe is how it's pronounced, New Jersey, at a local anchor mall. This is an area that funnels into New York City across the George Washington Bridge to the south and east, and opens up to the Garden State Parkway to the north, making a really good location for charging stops for people going in either one of those 2 directions. There's no pictures yet as far as I can tell. Lastly, the Tesla Supercharger team crushed the boards this week, opening 16 new stations, including a 28 stall in Las Vegas at Boulevard Mall, well off the Strip on the eastern side of the city, which looks to be meant to service locals versus other stations recently put in or expanded meant to service travelers. I think the thought is, if they can draw locals to these stations off the Strip, it will help take load off the ones getting swarmed near the Strip and interstates, which in the case of Las Vegas are Interstate 11 and Interstate 15, primarily Interstate 15. There are several other stations of note, including a 24 stall in Livermore, California, a 16 stall in Brunswick, Georgia off Interstate 95, a 16 stall in Newark, New Jersey, and 2 16 stalls in Canada at Kelowna, I believe is how it's pronounced, British Columbia, and Milton, Ontario. When the tally is done for this week alone, the Tesla Supercharger team added 212 stalls to their network. The truly frightening thing about this for other CPOs trying to catch up to what the Tesla Supercharger team has set as the gold standard for station build pace is this is not uncommon. They basically do this every week, and they appear to only be getting better and more relentless in their velocity. Thanks for watching.